and welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Nikita Arora. This week, I'm asking one simple question. Why is Prime Minister Modi following the most vicious and most abusive trolls on Twitter? And this is a question being asked by many, it's not just me. In fact, Bloomberg this week has carried an opinion piece about state-sponsored trolling. And it says this about India. In a democracy like India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party maintains an IT cell with thousands of members who receive daily instructions on what topics to promote and who to gang up on. And India here is compared with an authoritarian regime like Russia, where anybody who criticizes the government is ridiculed, is accused of being a foreign agent or a traitor, and is threatened. And when you try to discuss this with Modi worshippers, they have the most bizarre defenses. Some of them are just in complete denial, despite all the proof. They'll say it's just not possible that Modi is following these trolls because how could he? He has this amazing team of advisors, he has this huge IT cell, and then to top it all, he's so smart himself. So despite all of this counseling, how is it possible that he's following these trolls? But that's the question we are asking as well. That despite all of this smart coterie of people around him, why does he continue to follow abusive trolls? It's simple. It's plain arrogance. The Prime Minister simply doesn't care what we're saying. Journalists have brought it up abroad and back home. Members of Parliament have brought it up in Parliament. And ordinary citizens like you and me have been demanding an answer to this. But the Prime Minister's attitude to it is, you can continue to do whatever you want, you can continue to ask these questions, but I am not answerable to anyone and I am not going to change anything. Anyway, some others have more creative defenses, like Modi is supporting the freedom of speech of trolls. What an alibi, I mean, you can't beat that. Here he is protecting the trolls' freedom of speech, and there the international media is discussing his clampdown on media freedom. I mean, we're ranked 138 in the World Press Freedom Index, well below countries like Afghanistan, Nigeria, Ghana, Congo. And Reporters Without Borders even reported that ever since Narendra Modi became Prime Minister in 2014, Hindu fundamentalists have been referring to journalists in extremely violent terms. And Amit Malviya, the BJP's head of information and technology, said this. He said, Prime Minister Modi is a rare leader who truly believes in freedom of speech, and he has never blocked or unfollowed anyone on Twitter. But you are not restricting anyone's freedom of speech by unfollowing them on Twitter. They are still free to say what they want. All you are doing is registering your disapproval of their abusive language. And for heaven's sake, this is the Prime Minister of India. He has no onus to follow online abusers to prove any point, unless the point is to expressly support such behavior. Because think about it. Why do you follow anyone on Twitter? Either because you agree with them and this sort of your echo chamber, or because you don't agree with them but you still want to know what the opposite line of thought is, or because they are influential people in their own fields. So they are artists, they are intellectuals, they are sportsmen, they are celebrities. But why trolls? Their online personality is defined by their abuse. They are not talking anything of substance. So when you break it down to that smallest common denominator, you realize that there is no reason to follow them. They are only being followed because they serve a larger political purpose: violent suppression of dissent. Maybe our leaders just have a problem identifying these trolls. So I'm going to share a few tips for their benefit. So trolls' tweets are filled with abusive and vile language, and they usually use poor grammar and wrong spellings. They are divisive and aim to create communal hatred. They incite violence, spread fear, and encourage vigilantism. They usually carry a threat, so a murder threat, a rape threat, and they spread fake news. Now hopefully this will enable you to identify trolls better, only if you want to, of course. Now we're talking of PM Modi, who is following a little over 1900 people. And this includes current and former heads of states, foreign ministers, so the likes of Barack Obama, Moon Jae-in, Emmanuel Macron, So on the one side, you have these influential people, sportsmen, celebrities, prominent economists, preferred journalists. And on the other side, you have these trolls who've made it to this prestigious premium list of few who are followed by the Prime Minister and ministers of his cabinet. Let's look at a few of these trolls, right? So Nikunj Sahu is one. And let me just try and show you his profile. So that's his profile. And he is actually followed by our Prime Minister and by Piyush Goyal, and his bio says that as well. Member of BJP IT cell, proudly followed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And he's not bluffing, because if you go, you can see his followers. It has Piyush Goyal and Narendra Modi, and those are verified profiles, so not a hoax. And with that in mind, let's just look at the kind of stuff he's said in the past. So this is something that he tweeted to Arvind Kejriwal, an elected chief minister. पाकिस्तान की औलादें, नक्सल, केजरीवाल, कर्स वर्ड, आज सेक्युलरिज्म के नाम पे वोट नहीं मिल रहा तो अब पाकिस्तान को जवाब देने की बात कर रहा है. कर्स वर्ड, जिस दिन जेएनयू में भारत के टुकड़े और पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे लगाए गए थे, फेक न्यूज़, उस दिन उन गद्दारों के साथ तू खड़ा था कि नहीं, कर्स वर्ड, अरविंद केजरीवाल. एंड अनदर वन, कर्स वर्ड, कर्स वर्ड, कर्स वर्ड, आतंकवाद के नाम से जाने जाते हैं पूरी दुनिया में मुसलमान. कर्स वर्ड, पाकिस्तानी कर्स वर्ड है, उनको कर्स वर्ड बनाओ, दुनिया को नहीं. These tweets don't even make sense without the curse words. They're just full of curse words. That is their essence. And these are the kind of people who are being followed by a Prime Minister and ministers of his cabinet. Another one is Nikhil Dhadich. He's infamous for his tweets after the death of Gauri Lankesh, who, as we know, was a prominent journalist from Karnataka. She was a staunch critic of right-wing Hindutva politics. And Nikhil Dhadich is actually followed by a Prime Minister and Minister Piyush Goyal again. This is his profile. If you go to his followers, you can see the first two verified profiles of Piyush Goyal and Narendra Modi. And this is what he tweeted after the death of Gauri Lankesh. He said, एक कर्स वर्ड कुत्ते की मौत क्या मरी, सारे कर्स वर्ड एक सुर में बिलबिला रहे हैं. And you can find many of these tweets online, and there are many such trolls out there. But it is important to understand that these trolls are not being followed accidentally by Prime Minister Modi or by ministers of his cabinet. It's a deliberate plan. These trolls are entrusted with a task, and when they do that task well, they are given an official pat on their back. In July 2015, 150 social media influencers called Super 150 were actually invited to a meet and greet by the PM, and that included many abusive trolls like Ankit Jain, Suresh Nakhwa and others, and you can actually see pictures of them being felicitated by a Prime Minister. So please go and have a look at their profiles, see what they've been tweeting, and there are many articles out there that talk about how they were felicitated and the kind of things that they have been talking about. And that should give you a good idea of the kind of trolls that the Prime Minister and his party continue to endorse. It's not that people are unaware of this. In fact, hashtag blog Narendra Modi was a Twitter campaign that was started to block PM Modi's Twitter handle to protest his endorsement of trolls. But it hasn't changed a thing, because Modi, we know, has shown a scorn towards most traditional media houses, except a few preferred right-wing ones. He's avoided press conferences, he's avoided interviews. So, like Trump, he also prefers Twitter. And that is why what he does on Twitter is important. Trolling is part of a bigger family of evils, like fake news, vigilantism, mobocracy, public lynching, divisive propaganda, that have prospered since 2014. And many people have said that there is a lack of will and a lack of intent to abandon these trolls. But I'm going a step further and saying that it's not just that there is a lack of will to abandon these trolls, but that there is actually a will to empower them and to embolden them. History is full of examples where politicians have embraced and strengthened bullies to suppress dissent and then later struggle to contain them. So my humble request to the Prime Minister and to his ministers is that instead of trying to rewrite history, they should try to read it and learn from it. If you do not endorse trolls and you do not endorse their misogyny, their profanity, their mindless anger and hate, their divisive propaganda, then unfollow them. And if you do not, then we know who not to endorse in the coming elections. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video.